Let's bring you some business updates now. It's a big day for South African Airways. After being grounded for a year and a half, the very first flight is expected to take off a little bit later on this morning. Following business rescue, the airline enters a market which has been battered by the COVID-19 pandemic. eNCA's business editor Devan Murugan is at OR Tambo International Airport, and he joins us now to give us an update, of course, of what we can expect this very morning. Devan, good morning to you. Listen, I can see from where you're standing just behind you that it seems travelers are ready to take route, and they are choosing South African Airways, if my assumptions are correct, because today that very first flight is taking off. What else can you tell us?
Well, look, it's a ceremonious flight in many ways. Good morning, Tamelo. We've got 18 months of grounding. You had a grueling business rescue process. And, of course, through the years, you've had bailouts really draining the fiscus. But SAA appears to be back in shape now. It's the first resumption flight, if you like, as you correctly say. And that goes from Johannesburg to Cape Town starting today. We'll be on that flight. The workforce of SAA has been somewhat trimmed down, much so. There was a retrenchment process, the pilots moving from 268 at one stage to 88 at the moment. There's a lot at stake for this airline now. You know, we've got to get those earnings coming in. The flights are only going from Johannesburg to Cape Town at the moment. There are about a few African cities, regional flights also in the offing. That takes place from the 27th of September. But everyone at SAA is excited, albeit a very trimmed down workforce, Tamelo.
And with that being said, Devan, I know that you'll also be taking your very first flight to Cape Town aside SAA. I mean, I can imagine this being, long awaited by the organization, but only they're saying that only 3 flights for now, I suppose, will be, of course, taking place, and they'll be building up momentum across the continent. Unfortunately, they can't be going to Nigeria yet because of those travel restrictions due to COVID-19.
Yeah, no, you're quite right. There are just 3 daily flights from Johannesburg to Cape Town, and as you mentioned, a few African cities, among them Accra in Ghana, Lusaka, Zambia. We've got Maputo in Mozambique. Harare is on that list as well. And I think the key idea here, according to the CEO, Thomas Fukolo, is that they've got to start choosing some of those cities and destinations that can bring in some money at the moment. You can't just launch into this without being profitable. So that's going to be the trial for now. Cape Town or Johannesburg to Cape Town 3 times a day. The first flight, of course, happening at 8 o'clock. And then they will test these African cities. If they don't bring in the earnings, that's going to be a problem, especially in the midst of COVID-19. So they will have to see how those projections work, whether or not money is coming in, and from there gradually expand it, Tamelo. So we'll have to wait and see whether or not this brings in the cash, much needed cash for SAA. And just one quick point, that equity partner, Takatso Consortium, not involved in today's launch. There isn't any money being put in from them as yet. The equity deal is still being finalized. So this is pretty much done on the funds that came after the business rescue, Tamelo.
All right, we'll leave it there. Devan Murugan out at OR Tambo International Airport. That's our business editor there, updating us on the very latest coming in from SAA. And I mean, they're quite optimistic. Also further saying that it seems bookings are coming in quick and fast, indicating that South Africans continue to choose SAA as their flight of choice. Well, we'll be sure to give you those updates and more as we continue with our bulletin.